30,000 years ago, the world was ice and silence. One man walked into the storm and uncovered something that should have stayed buried forever. The wind howled across the endless white plains. It moved like a living thing, whispering, clawing, cutting through the fur and bone of anything that dared to stand against it. Snow swirled in wild spirals, hiding the horizon in a blur of gray and silver. A figure pushed through it, a man wrapped in animal skins, his breath steaming in the air like smoke from a dying fire. His name was Kael, a hunter of the valley tribes. He had been walking for 2 days. His people were starving. The mammoths had moved north. The herds of bison had vanished. Even the rivers had turned to glass under the cruel grip of winter. Each step sank deep into the snow, pulling at his legs like the earth itself wanted him to stop. But Kael did not stop. He carried a spear of carved bone, a flint blade at his side, and a pouch of dried roots tied at his waist. The world was silent except for the storm's hollow cry, and beneath that silence, Kael could hear the sound of his own heart. Heavy, slow, steady, a heartbeat against extinction. He moved toward the jagged rocks ahead, a shelter, maybe, or the shadow of one. The air bit into his face. The cold found every gap in his clothing. It licked his skin with icy tongues, turning his fingers pale and stiff. Kael stopped. Something flickered in the distance. A dark shape, low to the ground, moving between the snowdrifts. He crouched, eyes narrowing. His instincts woke like a spark inside him. Predator or prey. The wind dropped for a moment, and in that stillness, Kael heard the faint crack of a bone. Then, movement. Fast. To his left, he turned sharply, spear raised. A shadow slipped past the rocks, gone in a heartbeat. Kael's pulse quickened. He knew this land. He knew what hunted here. The dire wolves, great beasts of muscle and hunger, their eyes glowing with the cold fire of the wild. They traveled in packs, silent and clever, waiting for weakness, and Kael, alone and tired, smelled of it. He began to move again, faster now, keeping to the edge of the rocks. The air thickened with snow. He could no longer see more than a few steps ahead. Each sound was amplified. The crunch of his boots, the creak of leather, the distant wail of the wind through stone. Then he heard it, a growl, low, deep. Behind him, Kael spun, his spear cutting the air. Nothing, just the storm. He stood still, every sense awake, feeling the world breathe around him. The sound came again, closer this time. A dark form emerged from the swirling white, massive shoulders, yellow eyes, a wolf larger than any he had ever seen. It stepped forward slowly, head low, teeth bared in a silent snarl. Kael's fingers tightened on the spear. The wolf's breath rose in clouds. Its fur was thick, matted with frost. They stared at each other, man and beast, bound by the same desperate need to survive. Kael knew he could not run. The snow was too deep. The wolf would be faster. He shifted his stance, lowering his spear. The wolf moved sideways, circling. Kael followed its movement, his heart hammering in his chest. He could feel his breath catching in his throat, not from fear, but from the raw instinct of the hunt. Then suddenly, the wolf lunged. Kael thrust his spear forward. The impact shuddered through his arms as the point struck flesh. The wolf snarled, twisting, tearing the weapon from his grip. They fell into the snow. A blur of fur, bone, and rage. Kael grabbed his knife, slashing upward. Hot blood spilled on the cold ground. The beast staggered back, snarling, its teeth snapping inches from his face. Kael pushed himself to his feet, trembling, gasping for air. The wolf limped away, wounded, vanishing into the storm. It was a human, or almost human. Its bones were thin, its skull larger, its jaw narrow. Kael stared at it, his heart hammering in his chest. The face was turned toward him, empty sockets staring through the ice. He stepped closer, touching the frozen surface. The ice was smooth, but beneath it, the body was perfectly preserved. Fur garments, stone beads, a necklace carved from the teeth of some ancient beast. Kael's mind reeled. Who was this? How long had it been here? He felt something stir deep within him, awe, fear, and a strange connection, as if this being had waited for him to come. A sound echoed through the chamber, a low, distant rumble. The ice trembled. Kael stumbled back, staring upward. Another crack tore across the ceiling. Snow drifted down in fine white dust. Then came the sound, deep like a growl rising from the earth itself. Kael turned toward the passage that led deeper into the ice. It was dark, but not empty. Something moved in the shadows. He lifted his spear, every muscle tensed. A flicker of movement. A reflection of eyes. Then, silence. Kael's breath caught in his throat. The air grew colder, thicker. He took a step backward, but his foot slipped on the frost. The noise came again. A scraping. slow, deliberate. Something alive was down here, something that had survived the ice. Kael backed toward the wall, gripping his spear until his knuckles burned. His mind screamed at him to run, but there was nowhere to go. The shadows shifted again. A shape emerged, low, broad, covered in pale fur that shimmered like snow and moonlight. Its head was long, its breath a mist that glowed faintly in the cold. Kael's heart stopped. It was not a wolf, not a bear, something older, something that belonged to the world before men. It moved closer, each step echoing like thunder through the hollow. Kael felt the ground shake beneath its weight. The creature lifted its head and sniffed the air, its nostrils flaring. It smelled blood, Kael's blood. The beast growled, a low rumbling sound that vibrated through the stone. Its eyes caught the firelight, twin circles of pale gold. Kael took a slow breath, forcing his trembling hands to steady. He knew this was death standing before him, but he would not fall without a fight. He raised his spear. The creature lowered its head. For a heartbeat, time froze. Man and monster bound in the same moment. Then the beast charged. Psyche. The creature charged. Its roar shook the cavern, rolling through the ice like thunder trapped in stone. Kael braced himself, spear aimed low, every muscle burning with fear and fury. The beast struck, a blur of white and shadow. The impact threw him backward. His spear shattered against its chest. The firelight vanished in the chaos, leaving only the glow of the creature's eyes. Kael hit the ground hard. His breath burst out in a cloud. The beast lunged again. Kael rolled aside, grabbed the broken spear tip and drove it upward with all his strength. The bone blade tore through flesh. A roar erupted, shaking ice from the ceiling. The creature thrashed, claws tearing through the snow and stone. Kael screamed, pushing deeper until warm blood spilled across his hands. Then, silence. The beast collapsed beside him, its breath fading, its weight sinking into the frozen ground. Kael lay there, gasping, every part of him trembling. The chamber echoed with the sound of dripping water, slow, rhythmic, eternal. He stared at the fallen creature, its eyes dimmed, fading to nothing. He had survived again, but the victory felt hollow. The air was changing. The ice above cracked, a deep groan rising from the earth. Kael staggered to his feet, clutching his bleeding arm. He looked up. The ceiling was breaking apart. Light spilled through, faint, blue, and alive. The ancient bones around him glimmered like ghosts beneath the melting frost. He could feel warmth in the air now. A strange, new warmth. The storm outside was ending, and the ice, the endless, merciless ice, was beginning to weep. Kael turned toward the human figure frozen beside the wall. Its face was peaceful. Its hands were folded, holding the same kind of flint that Kael carried at his waist. He reached out, pressing his palm against the cold surface. For a moment, he felt something, a pulse, faint and ancient, echoing through the ice. Then the ice cracked, a hairline fracture running across the figure's chest. The necklace of teeth fell, striking the ground with a soft, hollow sound. Kael bent to pick it up. The beads were warm, alive almost. He tied it around his own neck. It felt heavy, full of stories he could not understand. Outside, the wind had changed. He climbed out through the hole above, pulling himself into the daylight. The sky was vast and silver. The sun, pale and cold, hung over the horizon like a dying ember. The valley stretched before him, endless, beautiful, dangerous. And yet, for the first time, Kael felt something different, hope. He could see smoke rising far away, a faint gray ribbon against the snow. Maybe another tribe. Maybe others who had survived. He began to walk. Each step left a mark in the fresh snow, proof that man still lived, still fought, still moved forward. Behind him, the ice cave groaned once more, then collapsed, burying the bones and the creature forever. The world would forget what lay beneath. But Kael carried it within him now. The memory, the fear, the fire, the knowledge that survival was not strength alone. It was the will to rise again, no matter how the world tried to bury you. As he climbed the ridge, the wind caught his scent and scattered it into the wide, empty sky. The sun broke through the clouds, spilling gold across the frozen earth. Kael looked back only once. Where he had fallen, the snow was already closing. Soft, white, endless. He whispered a single word to the wind. Not a prayer, not a farewell, a promise, Then he turned and walked toward the smoke, toward the future, unknown and waiting, and the land of ice watched him go, silent and eternal, as the first light of spring began to touch the world.